So for the 360 view on this story, to dive a little bit more into this, we go to our political panel, former Florida Democratic Party Chair Mitch Ceasar and Ted Harvey from the Committee to Defend the President with us here in D.C. Thanks for joining me.
Good afternoon.
Thanks, Scotty.
Okay, so I've got to start off. Ted, are you surprised that bias exists at Google? And even after being exposed, it seems like nothing has changed.
Well, everybody knows that there's bias at Google and there's bias at YouTube. The fact that they're taking Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson off the air. They're even taking the most benign videos from Dennis Prager University off the air. I think that that's absolutely ridiculous. That shows you how desperate the Democrats are that they have to take off these so-called conservative spokespeople. You don't ever see them taking off Democrat liberal spokespeople, only conservatives. But I think it's interesting that they came back and said that Veritas was editing the video when they are being caught red-handed, saying that they are putting their thumb on the scale. That just tells you how desperate they are.
But that's the thing, Mitch, when you watch that report, and we can talk about the validity of using something from Project Veritas, because they've definitely come under scrutiny for some of their past projects they've done. But is this a reason why some people might say we do need to have more government control of the Internet and Internet companies?
First, let me say I don't agree with the previous premise, which I'm sure is not shocking to either one of you. To say that the Democrats are doing this, first of all, the accusation is against Google, not against Democrats. Worked in nicely, but not true. Secondly, Veritas does have an extremely spotty record. You did accurately report the theories of them editing. But remember also, they got thrown off of Facebook because they had all these fake accounts, which is against all the rules. I think they're in litigation or about to be with YouTube also for the same type of problem, for unscrupulous behavior. So they're not coming in with what we call under the law clean hands, not at all. They are an extreme conservative organization, which doesn't make them right or wrong, but in this case, based on their practices, has been proven, it makes them totally wrong. As to your specific question, as to whether we could get into censorship and things like that, that's a slippery slope. We've talked about the First Amendment and having limits, but there also has to be some restriction to some extent on very clear hate speech, and also has to be some restrictions or some guardrails on fake news, which was frankly created by this
like Dennis
president.
Prager.
Okay, well, that's the thing, Ted. You kind of respond back to that because a lot has been shown that Google has very Democrat-leaning or Hillary Clinton supporters in 2016, and that was a video that was shown. What do you say to this accusation right here of like, you know what, let's talk about the people that are accusing, and let's not, not look at necessarily the content that's being discussed?
Is he implying that Dennis Prager is hate speech? Is he implying that Jordan Peterson is hate speech? That's not hate speech. That's just something, okay, let's not call them Democrats. Let's call them leftists. All of the leftists at Google don't want to have conservative voices telling the American people the truth. And so they're taking off Dennis Prager's Prager University off the air. That's verified. They are in a lawsuit with Dennis Prager. It's not Veritas saying that. There is a lawsuit going on pointing that out. So Mitch can talk about how these aren't Democrats and how this is hate speech. That's not hate speech. That is Google using the power that they have to limit the ability for the American people to have a free debate of ideas on the Internet. And I agree with Mitch on the one thing, that this is not censorship. Censorship is when the government tells the American people what they can see or what they cannot see. That is not what Google is. Google is not government. But I do believe that it's important for the American people to understand what leftist Google, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter are, and stop using those platforms if we are causing them to have the power and the money to be able to restrict our ability to have the free debate in the public sphere.
But that's the thing, Ted, Mitch, to Ted's point. Once again, conservatives have been saying this for the last 2 years that they're being censored, but what are they doing about it? Why are they continuing to have this problem and not offering a solution to it?
Well, part of the question is whether Congress should be regulating or not. And let's remember, Republicans control the Senate. They're great on jamming judges through, but they're not so great on coming up with proposals for health care or anything else. If they want to put forth a proposal for regulation, let them try to do that. But let's not blow this up ridiculously. Republicans don't like, they say that Google does these things. It's not a proven fact, regardless of what Ted says.
It is a proven fact.
But we could talk all day about the commentators on Fox News.
They delisted a lot of people. It is a fact.
Interrupting doesn't make you correct. We could talk all day about Fox News and the commentators, the facts according to you. Here's the problem we have in this country, and Ted has just proven the point, and that is places like Veritas and others, they come up with their own conclusions and then try to cherry pick what the facts would be to fit that conclusion, whether their facts are right and whether their conclusions are right. But the question is, how does Congress or the Republican Senate try to deal with it? If they thought it was such a big problem, where are they on regulating it? Where's Mitch McConnell?
I don't believe Congress should be, Mitch. I don't believe Congress should be, Mitch. That's my point. They're a free company. They can do what they want to do. But to argue that they are not doing it is not factually correct. They are delisting companies or commentators off their platforms.
You're entitled to your own set of facts.
It is a fact.
But
you're entitled to your opinion.
It's not an opinion. It is a fact.
Here's my question. Are there liberal groups that can say that they've also been taken off these platforms as well? And
Name
have
one.
the same accusations that the conservative groups are saying? Or is there another reason that you can say that justifies why they've been removed from some of these platforms like YouTube and Facebook? Some groups, I can say, are full of hate speech and should be removed. But is there liberal groups that we're finding that, I mean, I have not seen Media Matters. I haven't seen some of the equivalents of the groups that are mentioned, the conservatives, being pulled off as well. So, pull them all off if that's going to be their policy, is my thoughts.
Well, remember also, as we've talked about in other shows, the First Amendment is limited. And therefore, when you get into hate speech and other things, there's a fine line. There's no perfect answer. But I can tell you the abuses are not coming from Democrats, if there are even abuses.
Well, whether it's coming from Democrats, Republicans, leftists, rightists, it doesn't matter. The abuse never comes from both of you. And I thank you for the respectful conversation. Thank you, Ted and Mitch, for joining us.
Thank you both. Appreciate it. God bless.
Thank you.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.